Going there, the Atlanta Dream snatched that back. Me and Steve are going to break down this loss, 82-68, the Chicago Sky to the Atlanta Dream. We're going to get into it right after this.
Yeah.
Welcome to Chicago Sky Central, and here's your host, Haize.
All right, Stevo. This is another one of the games, man, where I will say this. I like the Sky, their ability to battle back. There were times where, it seemed like they were going to be out of the game and they came back. Now they finally were knocked out of the game, and it seemed like the Atlanta Dream, when they took that lead in the fourth, they knew they weren't going to give it back. But in this game, Khalid Copper and Marina Mabry, both 16, 14 points respectively. Elizabeth Williams Cooks again with 11 points. But this was a game that it seemed like defensively, the Sky just did not have what we're used to seeing from the Sky. How'd you feel about it, Steve?
Yeah, I was like coming towards the conclusion, especially on watching the past few games. I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's the same defensive team that we once saw at the beginning of this year because it lasts throughout the game. Now we're just seeing it in spurts, and then when it's in spurts like that, it's hard for them to capitalize that off points. So when you're not capitalized off points on the very few stops that you do get, that's how you just get beat. And you was pretty much getting beat this whole game. So um it's starting. I think just this whole season and then this roster just starting to come a little bit to a reality about how we really felt. We got kind of got a little excited because they was doing abnormal things in the beginning, but I guess that was just because the newness of it. They didn't really know, no team really sat down and strategized on everything on us yet because like I said, we're very new. So now that they got some games under us, they're what, game 18 now. There's people are cracking down on that. They know that when it comes to offense, we not as technically fundamentally sound. We never really was. So now they're just exploiting that, making sure they putting they keeping the pedal on the gas, and yeah, we can't do nothing with it for the most part, especially when they equal up to us in talent.
Yeah, I mean it's clear. Like the Chicago Sky, the teams have figured them out now. People know what they are, what they aren't, what their limitations are, and it really does feel like teams also understand that. Like, listen, the Sky are going to go on a run on us. If we can weather that storm and come back, we can take the energy out of them, and that's what we're really starting to see with this team. I would say consistently is that teams are just understanding that. Yeah, the Sky are going to fight. They're gonna look good. They're gonna give us a run for our money in a quarter or so, but all we got to do is weather that storm. And if we weather that storm, we good. And the Sky just have not been able to combat and come out of it. They don't have the same ferocity that they had early in the season. And yeah, they've lost a lot of players to injury. Some come back. Ruthie Hibbert, who's now cleared, has still not played. This was the game, but she got a DNP this game. But ultimately, I just still look at this team like they still have their things that they need to work on and fix. It just is what it is there. But Marina Mabry, Kalia Copper playing much better together now as well. This was a game that we didn't necessarily see Courtney Williams have the impact that she had in that 3-game winning streak
Right.
overall. Bench, it was really just Dana Evans and Morgan Birch scoring off the bench. No, it wasn't. Let me not act like it was. They were indeed the only ones to score off the bench.
Literally.
That's crazy, bro. Didn't shoot the ball too effectively, 36% from the field. The 12 turnovers. While we did have less turnovers than the Dream, it was that doesn't really tell the full story because we had the timely turnovers, right? Every
Mhm.
time we were trying to get going, we turned the ball over and it allowed the Atlanta Dream to get right back in.
And yeah, that was just one of my main concerns about this team that I seen from game one is when it came to the half court game, we just it was never smooth. It was never smooth. We were still trying to figure each other out. Um, yeah, plays are being called, but they're not being effective. They're not being, and to me, I don't feel like they're being ran as best as they could be. Maybe because some of the players they thought would be there isn't there, which is probably one of the main reasons why. But it just, for one, especially when it comes to the our big the our taller women, it just they're more youth. They're more on the youthful side. Elizabeth is pretty much the only vet that's our big man at that down low. So when it comes to defense on that, when we go up against solid forwards and centers, they eat. They eat for the most part, and then when you have to go up against a big guard and Ryan Howard that can do almost anything. She's a problem on transition. She's one of the best shooters in the league by far. And it was just a lot of spaces on defense where they just their rotation was lacking. It was some was completely off, wasn't communicating no defense, leaving people open. And it's just some of the stuff I've been noticing that for the most part, to be sad to say, we're probably gonna see much of it for the rest of the season.
When you look at like how the Sky and you know, I don't want to come completely down off. We were coming before this off a 3-game winning streak, so we
Yeah,
understand that, right? But when you look at like the coaching, we're now this our second game without
yeah.
James Wade, so we're 1 win, 1 loss. Do you feel like in this game at all, was there anything that you saw that felt to you like, all right, James Wade wouldn't have let this happen?
Um, maybe timely timeouts. I think it was probably some timeouts he would have called to stop the bleeding a little bit earlier. I think it was times where they went up on runs that was like 10-2, and I'm like, you should have stopped it at the eight. So it's like just little stuff like that. I do feel like the communication has been a little bit off ever since the James Wade has left. So a lot of the just like little stuff like coming off screens and when the pass here, I see a lot of times where Elizabeth be motioning to like Morgan or somebody like, get over, you're not supposed to be over there. It just little the details is just off. I think that's what it is. And the
That's fair.
details, and I feel like even though the detail wasn't always as at tier top as it could be, it's lower than it has been. So yeah, I think it's just the details that's really making us suffer.
Yeah, I look at the coaching aspect of it, and it something feels a little off, but it doesn't feel too like it just.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like it's egregious, right? It's not like anything that to me that I'm looking at. I'm like, hey man, this is just absolutely we win this game if James Wade is coaching because it's a lot of the same issues, a lot of the same strengths, a lot of the same issues. I think ultimately too, what we're seeing is that, and I don't want to. I'm not putting it all on this play. I'm not saying that, but I think what we're seeing is that we play better when Courtney Williams is going. It just is what
Uh-huh.
it is. I'm not saying she's better than Marina Mabrey or Clea Copper or anything like that, but like it just seems like when Courtney Williams is going on the offensive side of the ball, it makes the game so much easier. And I also think because she's so poised a lot in fourth quarters, it adds a level of kind of calmness to the team. And so, you know, Courtney didn't have the biggest game tonight at all. I think she only scored a few points. You know, and at that when it said like with that, it's just I would have liked to see them try to get Courtney Williams a little bit more involved. But like you said, with Ryan Howard and the defense they played out there, there's only so much that you can do. 3 points from her, 1 for 6. You want to see her score more than that. But ultimately, like the Atlanta Dreams defense was just something that it seemed like the Sky were not prepared to deal with.
I said coming into the season, I think a lot of people are not going to be ready to deal with what Atlanta has, and it is we got to give a little bit credit to people like Cheyenne Parker, who's having the career of her life right now, first time being an All Star. Her and Elizabeth was battling all night, so it was just like stuff like that. But yeah, they was moving, they was communicating for one. The rotations was pretty tight, so they wasn't getting, we weren't getting any clean shots off for the most part. It was probably very few, and then if they were, there's probably Dana's because she can shoot from a couple steps back. So when she set her shot, she pretty much knocked it down. But for the most part, it was a head in our face the whole night.
Yeah, and Danielle Robinson, like there was a stretch that she went on. Like, listen, you couldn't do nothing with her, man. She went 6 of 8 in this game for 14 points. We know Alicia Gray is going to get a lot of the notice, rightfully so. She leads all scorers with 21 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. She stuffed the stat sheet, but it was really a team effort in this game, and
Yeah.
it just, especially on that defensive side of the ball, the Atlanta Dream came out with a defensive scheme that it seemed like the Sky just weren't prepared. It's almost like they watched no tape on the Atlanta Dream.
Or like they didn't play them previously. If
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken, y'all played them twice, right?
Have we played them twice before this already?
I don't know, but we definitely played them before.
We
Uh,
played them early in the season. It looks like we played them May. So no, this is only our second time playing them.
so
But
it's
we
our
do
second
play
time.
them again on Sunday. So
Oh Lord, yeah, Ruthie. Hopefully, we're hearing that Ruthie might be back Wednesday, so that might be good. So we definitely need some low post scoring and big, just some big man down low for sure. But yeah, it just they wasn't ready, and there's probably something on the coach too. I'm still trying to figure out what's his what
Philosophy.
he's his philosophy. I don't know if he's really an offensive or a defensive coach. Um, it don't look like his offense from what I'm seeing so far. It just like I said, it just really the details is that needs to be panned out. Like I said, it was never the best, but it's really not good right now. And with a team like this, you can't afford mistakes. And we had a lot of mistakes, like you mentioned, 12 turnovers. Even though they had more, it was when we got them. Every time we got to stop and made a basket. That second time we got to stop, we turned the ball over. And the sad part is most of it was in transition, which is one of our strong suits.
Yeah. Yeah. So when to kind of talk about generally with the Sky, so we've heard now that the players, even the interim GM and coach, everybody kind of says that the role between GM and coach needs to be separated. Um, we've kind of
God
talked about
damn.
that as well. That's expected. I think that is what's going to happen. We're going to see that role kind of separated going forward. The biggest question now pivots to: does the Chicago Sky have enough to convince Kalia Copper to stay? Because if she walks, hey, that's about to get real tough, bro.
And it might be a problem because I'm also noticing that like even and I love Mabry, but like sometimes she when nobody else is going, she clearly has that green light and she takes every light she got. And like I said, I wish that she would split some of those decisions with Courtney Williams, and I feel like that's something the coach needs to talk to her about. And just her, she needs to understand and realize it herself. I feel like that's something she needs to do. But yeah, it
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
I'm trying.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I came into the season very confident. I think now,
Yeah,
even before seeing them play, because James Wade had a vision, because James Wade put this roster together, because everyone that we heard talked about playing with Kai, and and not that's not to say that it changes Kai's how she views the city, her opinions on the city, and everything like that. Like, but ultimately, like you have to any player right now. You're looking at the future. Nope, no picks coming in. You're looking now possibly at a new GM that's going to be coming in, taking over. Are you going to trust that vision? Or are you going to say, hey, since I already have to trust a new GM and a coach, maybe I start looking at these other places that I can be back to contending? Those questions are going to be natural. Those questions are going to be out there. And ultimately, I mean,
I
we'll
can't
see, bro.
blame her.
Yeah.
I really couldn't. Really can't blame her if she decides to leave. And it just is what it is. Yeah, I see why this is a main topic, especially in in the main media as well. A lot of people are talking about how they need to split that up because, like, it's not a lot of coaches that's in the NBA that's like that. The only person that come to my mind was Tom Thibodeau when he was with the Timberwolves,
And you
and
saw
he ain't
that
that,
crash and burn.
and you see that crash and burn. They still recovering off that.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, it's not. It's just business wise. It's not the best decision. It's not the best decision, especially in this league. This league is heavily dedicated on communication and relationships. One of the main contributors about why this team was so successful was Wade.
Yeah.
If people, why Parker decided to come here? James Wade. It was a good relationship. If James Wade's not here, we probably don't have a ring. So him leaving, yeah, sad to see him go, but it's definitely gonna take a hit on this franchise. It's gonna take us a couple years to recover.
Yeah, I mean, unless they get lucky and strike and hit a home run on the next coach and GM, and the way that I look at it is this: not to say that coach isn't a priority, absolutely should. If our interim coach right now stays the head coach, I wouldn't be mad. You need to find a GM now with a vision. You need to
Mhm.
find a GM with the vision. You need to find a GM, like you said, with those relationships. Somebody who can come in and say, "Listen, I know I didn't start this, right? I didn't start this process of sending the first round picks, but I feel like I can confidently continue to build off what's here. You're going to need to find that, and having somebody with that vision. I'm sure they're going to interview everyone in depth to kind of see what their thought process is. But the Sky are in such a unique situation as far as in the WNBA, and the fact that you lost your coach and your GM. You traded away all your future first round picks for the next couple of years. I think we have a swap on the third year, so we won't lose that one outright. But ultimately, like, the assets aren't there. You're gonna have it's already tough in free agency. WNBA is basically a lot of 1 year deals. That's the way that it works out for the most
Damn,
part, unless you're
are we the Miami Heat?
Hey, that's not a bad comparison, but without the title,
Right.
hey, it's well making it to the WNBA finals because they didn't win the title. So I don't
Yeah.
know, man. Like the Sky got the work cut out for him. Eric in the chat does say this. He says, I think Kalia will stay. I think management will offer her more money. I get that,
That
but
but still,
keep in mind it's not the NBA. It's the WNBA. Almost everybody can offer the same money.
yeah. And if they do offer, what is it, $1,200 more dollars? Like
Yeah, like
it's nothing. Like it's nothing crazy. Like she
bro, it
is,
blew my mind to find out that I make more than most WNBA players. That's crazy, bro.
bro. I believe the top paid is probably, well, last time I checked was Candace, and that was without any endorsements. It was barely 250,
That's tough. That is tough.
which is which is good money to us. But
Yeah,
when it comes to professional athletes, especially in basketball, yeah,
yeah.
that's not nothing.
Something needs to give on that one, but hey, we'll see, man. Sky lose this game. Unfortunately, we got another one coming up against the Dream again on Sunday in Atlanta again. So we'll. Well, no, wait, were we home today? Yeah, we were home.
It
So
was
it's in
home.
Chicago again. It's still at home. So hey, we'll see, man. Hopefully, the one thing that the Sky have typically done though is they play much better the second time they face a team. Now that
Mm.
was with James Wade. So we'll see if it maintains with this new coach. But I think the Sky are going to come out motivated. I think I think we'll bounce back. You called it when I asked if we can make it 5 straight. You said I don't think we're going to win the first one against Atlanta. So we'll see if they can win the second.
Yeah, because bro, I seen my Atlanta been hot. Even though they ain't won every single game, they've been hot. And they've been playing real good ball the last probably 5 games, especially Ryan. So I knew that whenever we go up against somebody that's either probably maybe talent outplayed, maybe a little bit better than us, or just is equal, I know we always gonna have trouble with.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
But it is what it is. Hopefully, we gotta hang in there. We gotta
Yeah,
hang.
got it. This is the roster. This is the coach. This is what we got. We'll see. It's still, we're not even halfway through the season yet. So we'll see. It's crazy that All-Star weekend's coming up, bro. That's
At least,
wild,
at
man.
least we ain't 10.
We're 8th right now, so we'll see if we can hold on to that. But hey, man, it's crazy. But make sure you guys are following the show, Chicago Sky Pod, on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, Chicago Sky Central at gmail.com. Make sure you guys follow Stevo as well over at Stevo Speaks. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, and voicemails. 773-270-2799. We're the #1 spot for everything Chicago Sky related. We out this bitch. Peace, y'all.